So we have the standards of classifying information very biased in terms of like, oh, this is good or bad, failure or success. And often these products, they have this conflicting information. Some people like, some people don't like. Some platforms, this is positive, others this is negative. And how decision makers make sense of this information? Is this a source of just noise, or there's something that they can capture of this like conflicting information that move next? How does inform the next step?
Today's conversation is about something we don't talk about enough, the human side of strategy and why people often matter more than plans. Welcome to another episode of School to Startup, brought to you by Tracxn, a private market intelligence platform that's been supporting the global university ecosystem for over 12 years. Through our university partnerships, we work with institutions driving innovation and entrepreneurship, and this series highlights the academic leaders making that happen. I'm Harish, your host today, and joining us is Marlon, Assistant Professor of Strategy and Organization at SKEMA Business School. Professor Marlon, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Great. So after reading your work, I feel like you have probably analyzed more decision-making mistakes than most of us have actually made. So I have to ask you, does studying strategy and behavior make you better at decisions, or just more aware of how bad they can be?
No, I wish I could say that I became much better at preventing my mistakes, like fixing my biases. But actually, some of the flaws, I think, is part of human life, like human behavior. We should be attentive to them, try to cross-check and see, like, to what extent we can incorporate tools to solve. So this idea of having like a better design for decision making can help. So prevent, if I can share something really like as in terms of teaching, so making sure that I don't have the name of students, so I'm grading based just on the content. So I'm not biased by if they are always making questions, it's very participative, I'm just evaluating the exam. It's a way like to protect myself from the bias, because I know the bias is there, but not necessarily I can hold back. I need to design a strategy to set apart.
Very interesting. So let's go back to your journey. What led you into academia, and how has the experience been so far?
Oh, so far, this experience has been great. But I'm originally from Brazil. And well, it turns out it looks like it was like destiny to fate, because my first book that my mom handed me was the 1 Minute Manager. I want to read, she had me whatever was available. And so I was kind of already in this path, I think, towards studying business in small entrepreneurs. And then I came to academia, most like a lot of entrepreneurs. I was doing a lot of stuff, and something was not working. I also started companies, some works, something failed. And so it was kind of investigating this setup and end up here. So to be clear, like my idea of this curiosity of how people make decisions, I think came really home because my parents are also entrepreneurs. And this idea of you make hard decisions, you have a lot of resource scarcity, uncertainty about what's going to happen next. So this is kind of the path, like more on a personal side. So I ended up having a PhD, studying disruptive change. So this is like the topic of my PhD. And this led me to my actual position today as assistant professor of strategy at SKEMA Business School. So I teach like strategy, entrepreneurship, project management. And that's what I kind of now captivates me. I think I can study so many different things, different contexts. So we have a lot of broader international environment. And so we can see how this changed from environment to environment. At the same time, the similarities, we have some emerging markets like in India or Brazil, and you can relate to struggles that entrepreneurs face. So you talk to students or executives and they can share this experience. It can kind of translate tools that lessons that you learn from one market to the next. So this is very enriching, let's say, this idea of like studying certain things and learning these from different contexts and countries.
Very interesting. And what are some of the most exciting research areas you're currently working on?
Well, there are a few. We always like doing a lot of stuff, and we start a project, and this project leads to something else, which is very nice. We have to be ready to the discovery part. So one thing that I have been studying more recently, that's still like in the revision and process, is about like entrepreneurial giving. So a lot of things about like how entrepreneurs build resource, conquer new markets, but like most of the social interactions are exchange. So you build a network, not only being greedy and get things from others. At some point, you need to give. And so I'm studying when entrepreneurs give and what is like the trade-offs of how what they should do first. Like you first give and then receive, how this pay back over time. So I'm using this idea of dual process theory that's about decision making. So we have intuition and reflection. So how much like you rationalize and some things are kind of instinctive. And I'm combining like data from Crunchbase and Twitter. So kind of combined, so see, because I'm taking a lot of my research are in online platforms. So I'm looking at this specific context. So it's a context super easy. You think of Twitter, but like LinkedIn, Twitter's now X, that you could reach out to people for like also ask, and then when people give you back. So that's what I'm like, something that I'm really excited in terms of looking this other side and how this pay back over time, which is really interesting. Another work that I've been kind of very excited is about this idea of how, in terms of failure, like we learn something, the failure, if we receive the feedback. So we should know the failure first. We need this informative signal. And sometimes you may fail, like your startup is kind of done, you have no chance. But a lot of the feedback that we have is kind of much shorter or like smaller, like when you launch a product or you have this product evaluating platforms. And so you receive like these scores. So consumers are voting, it is good, it is bad. And this is not just like positive, negative. So we have the standards of classifying information very biased in terms of like, oh, this is good or bad, failure or success. And often these products, they have this conflicting information. Some people like, some people don't like. Some platforms, this is positive, others this is negative. And how decision makers make sense of this information? Is this a source of just noise, or there's something that they can capture of this like conflict information that move next? How does inform the next step in terms of improving that product, making the next decision? Since you have this idea of like not failure, not success, but something in between. So increase the uncertainty, the ambiguity in terms of the decision. So this is another research stream that I'm very excited about.
Very interesting. Before we go deeper, this is for our viewers. If you are enjoying conversation like this around startups, innovation, and academia, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to the Tracxn channel, and hit the bell icon so you don't miss upcoming episodes. Right. So your work focuses on open innovation. So how can companies effectively leverage external knowledge and partnerships to actually drive innovation?
Yeah, that's something that's much easy to say than done, let's put it that way. But one thing important is like to what extent you build you're able to be like a relationship, because this open innovation, people treat these often as just like a repository. You get information from there and don't give anything back. But actually, even you have like even crowdsource contest, something that I think, well, it's just like make a contest, people are applying, you get information, uh, get feedback from customers. Underlying like the quality of the information that you get from these partnerships, even if you think, oh, I'll get for free, people should be rewarded somehow for that, even if indirectly. Could be recognition, could be the idea that that information is well used. You are not misusing that information in some shape or form. So I think this idea of building trust with your peers is kind of key to get benefits from open innovation, because it even give like a return. So someone offered something that you don't use. They're drawing for like partnership with others, but not everything is useful or work in the end. But even like building this, your reputation, let's put it that way, because you would give a return and say, okay, this is not work for X, or thank you very much, we could not use it despite, but using it again. Make sure that people keep contributing or keeping wanting to or making something good comes in the next, because that's the point of like making this relationship open over time. This is not a single way exchange. That's more of most of relationships in life. I would say this apply for this idea of open innovation that draws for knowledge from others.
Very interesting. You have also explored the strategic alliances, right? So, what are the key factors that make these partnerships genuinely successful?
Okay, another thing that make these partnerships very much successful, as to what extent you have like clear the rule in terms of the rules of the game. People often have different expectations when they enter these relationships, and they don't know exactly like. I would refrain. People have implicit expectations about what's going to happen, and they think that everything's clear in their own mind until you put on paper. Okay, what we expect from this? If everything goes well, how do we share the pie? It is not always clear. People think this is clear, exerted, but it's not. So I think this is let's say, I think the other side, as we start these partnerships and make sure, like, what are the expectations? What would it look like of a good result out of this? So in these like one-on-one interactions, if you establish what you're expecting on both sides, or would be a good outcome, people can get there, because not always people have the same expectations. People want money, some people want a new product, promotion, people want visibility. You might need something for visibility as well. And this kind of gets in the way. Like if you think like even like very, let's say, home in terms of context, when you have these partnerships between research and companies. So not always the research that's doing this have the same interest in the company. So you can have like PhD students working in a company, which give you access to people that kind of the frontier of knowledge, which is amazing. But like what this person needs. Perhaps he needs to defend that dissertation was that everything in X years, or need access to data. So this perhaps even you can offer money, but not exactly what they need. On the other side, what you can offer to that company. If you make a project with a company, what is the value added that you are bringing to? Company is not making just for this. Sometimes they want like more exploratory projects, or even having the benefit of having the visibility of the partnership or research institution. But often they need like some value added as more concrete, and there is deadlines, you have competition. So making explicit what you need from both parts, what success look like from both sides. I think that's another fact that's key for this alliance to work.
Very interesting. Zooming into the universities and startups, Schema has a strong entrepreneurship ecosystem. So, what initiatives have been most effective in supporting student-led startups in your campus?
So we have like a few activities. So on one way, there is this idea of the hidden curriculum. That's like, instead of having like very just explicit, you have like a lot of activities within the course that makes students are prone to this. So the fact that you can approach strategy, for instance, something that I teach from different ways. So the fact you teach strategy might focus on value creation, like how you start strategies, new business. So how like Amazon started for this online bookstore, that, like very uh, with a very ambitious idea that I would create the largest online bookstore of the world. And actually, there was people wouldn't be selling at that point, nothing. And it's very informative, inspirational for students to start. But at the same time, we have explicit courses looking for training, for entrepreneurship. We have like the SKEMA Ventures that also provides like more of a real infrastructure for students to interact. We have visits of entrepreneurs as well, so they have these first-hand interactions, or even starting to have some tests. So they have like even create a small project could end up becoming something new. So let's say I think that there is a space. There's a lot of the discussion, like to what extent like academia is still relevant for the future, and that's might come or not. This is like let's say open, but I still think this is. We bring a lot of value to society. I think this idea, as society, we decided, okay, let's craft this protected space when people can go really deep on hard problems, and at some point, society can like cash in on this compounding knowledge. It's something that's useful. Like there is value overall. So you take this raw knowledge that's abundant over every day. You may think, well, open any program and YouTube, and you can find a lot of knowledge that's basically free, but it's the idea of judgment. Circling back perhaps to decision making, like what is giving judgment to know what is good or not? What gives you a trusted signal? You can what is trash and what is gold? What is wrong with Tracxn? It's important. So I think that there is a role in this. So I think if I would think like I think like schema and universities are like you're always room to improvement. But in terms of a direction, I think this gives a few things. So when you go like and get like even for a formal training for entrepreneur, you have this idea of having like credible signaling. So you are good. You can provide people that you can do hard things because you can go to exams. You need to. You are just a student, high school. You can live you're still a kid. Let's prove now that you can be a professional. You have like at scale. Do things that are under pressure. You don't have time. Okay, you can handle. A second thing I think is access to networks. So people that's pretty key for entrepreneurship. So it could be peers, but also mentors, investors, operators. So a lot of this mix people that you can get at SKEMA and this academy, I think it's important for as you leverage your business over time. And finally, I think it's going to be redundant, but you have this idea of applied learning, applying knowledge. So you had the chance to make small experiments. So actually, you try, build, and test. You have people that are validated, and you can like, okay, let's put these at scale. Let's create even a small A/B testing. So college students have to create a thing that's it's kind of obvious. I have option A, option B. Let's see what happens. But making sure that you know what's changing from one, you can do like a very simple survey, and then you survey people and see if they were sure would work and they see not working. Kind of like could get their hands like dirty in the data or like interact with customers. So these are to take the knowledge and to apply in the wide. I think super important. University still can be this lab for new ideas in that regard.
Interesting. And talking about students, in your experience, do students fall more in love with the problem or the idea of being the founder?
They still love the idea of being the founder. I think this idea of like is very aspirational. I think like the idea you can leave your mark in the world. Like you have this idea of risk taking. I can like grab the risk and do something that's meaningful at some scale. Like could be small, could be larger. I think that's what fascinates students, and I think it's important. Like because entrepreneurship is very like a broad term. We may think of very like Silicon Valley idea of like break things and change the world, but I think there is the idea of like general economic progress. Like we move society, like entrepreneurship can move society. Like the change you can change how things are done. So we have so even students like a lot of not even like I would say many of our students have this idea of like making entrepreneurship as a way even to social change. So okay, there's a way of doing business now. We can reimagine this so they can take the risk and do like this alumni that make business that have this sustainability flavor. Let's try something even different. So I think that's very fascinating for students and giving this space for them to try and feel and feeling like what is like starting something new is super important and rewarding. I think many students starting, they do, if you ask a student like the first day, not everyone wants to be entrepreneur, but as we present to them like the different ways you can be entrepreneur even within a company, because you have like, oh, could it be like something that you do at small scale selling on Etsy, because you have like this idea, this is something that you do for fun but perhaps could get some money. You have entrepreneurship at scale as you go to startups. You could be even entrepreneur in a firm creating change, or social entrepreneur. You could have a spin-off. So there are many spaces that you could occupy like with this almost entrepreneurial persona or entrepreneurial orientation that you may use in different ways.
Interesting. And say, for example, if a student pitches you a startup idea now, so what's one question you ask that really makes them think?
So it's a very, I think the startup ecosystem is kind of like a commonplace that what kind of problem you are solving, but it's often like they fall in love with the solution. Oh, this is so nice. This is so great. That's easy to lose traction. Okay, what is the other side? Why I'm consuming, I'm paying attention to this. That's easy. I think they go to the other way around. So I think this is something that students struggle. And so this idea of market validation, going to the market, talk to consumers, is something that we push students to do it, because otherwise they kind of easily fall in love with something they like. But this idea of, okay, let me validate with I told my mom, my girlfriend, my boyfriend, and they say I'm perfect. Like, oh, this is an amazing idea. Is that the right way to do it? So I think having this idea of having like a good, clean and informative tests, that's kind of very key for them. So you make the questions and follow up how you got to that decision, get to think, okay, I'm missing. They cannot like justify with data. So pushing them back, because I think the inspirational side is important, because give you the motivational aspect, but motivation is not enough. I think it's good to push them, they click and want to go. But you need to have like the other side of the coin, let's say, in terms of thinking how they keep going in a path that's rewarding, can really make sure it works.
Very interesting. And finally, for students and aspiring entrepreneurs watching this, what's one thing they should stop doing and one thing they should start doing?
Okay, honestly. I would say they need to be more open. I think that's if you're starting a startup or like going to the space, I think you should start to be more open. And this could be thinking different ways. So I think that when I was saying in terms of like the importance of like trust for creating open innovation, this aspect. So I think you should invest in relationships. I think your network is like the single greatest predictor of long-term success in general, career-wise. You need a strong network. So you should get out of the room, but I mean, openly, like you go to social place, interact with people. So I think this is important. And I think this goes to the second part, that you need to develop communication skills, writing, speaking, storytelling. These are superpowers. People need these, I think, in their daily life more than they think. It's not just, well, have one single presentation that you have time and use all your tools to get this perfect. No, I think storytelling is something that we do for life all the time. We're always having so small interactions. You need to frame the right way, your trajectory, why you are here, why you could be a good partner, why you could be a good peer to work on that project. So you need to be tuned to that. You cannot automatize everything. So you need to be good in terms of communication. And let's say, perhaps stop being too, look for security. I think like, you don't need, it's not about being irresponsible, but like you should be able to embrace discomfort in rejection early. So this is part of the game. So if you, and then you can try to do this in class. So while I'm teaching, I try to be like very, the coaching, try to help, very nurturing with students. But then when it flips and they are presenting, I'm the one like, I want to give them a hard time. They should be comfortable with receiving a hard time. So I think this is super important because it's part of getting like a thicker skin on the game. So if something scares you, go for that class. You guys, oh, should look super hard. Let me see how it goes. You know, I think this person will never reply to me. Take the chance. Talk to them. Send an email. Like you saw someone that you always wanted in a conference. Say them, shake hands. Hi, I am X. I'm like this. And that's it. Like the worst scenario, they say no. They say, but you learn that you survive to these things, and usually the payoff is positive. The worst scenario, nothing happens. So I think that this disposition to be out of a comfort zone, not only the way of like taking major, like huge risks, but like try things that you feel like the drive, but something holds you back. So I think this is something I think very important to take into account overall.
Amazing. And this was incredible. So, if there is one takeaway from today's conversation, it's this: innovation isn't just about ideas or strategy, it's about people, decisions, and how we navigate uncertainty. Thank you, Merlin, for being part of this episode. It was truly insightful.
No, thank you. It was my pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Great. And for everyone watching, if you have found this valuable, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and click on the bell icon to stay updated with the more conversations like this. See you in the next episode.